Now, councillors.
Good evening, everyone. I'll begin by asking for any councillors online to confirm they can see and hear. I believe we have Councillor Stevens online. Can you see and hear us, Councillor Stevens?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yes, I can see you and hear you. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Members of the public gallery should note that the Council records and publishes council meetings via YouTube to enhance the accessibility of council meetings to the broader Wellington community. These recordings are also published and archived on Council's website for viewing by the public. Recordings may be used for publicity or information purposes, or if you want to be put to sleep pretty quickly. Members of the public in attendance at the Council meeting who wish to communicate with the Council regarding an agenda item or any other matter should advise the Mayor, ideally prior to the meeting starting, to ensure that their submission is called at the appropriate time during the meeting. Gallery visitors, councillors and invited online attendees, please ensure that mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or in silent mode for the duration of the meeting. Wellington Shire Council acknowledges our offices are located on traditional lands of the Gunai Nation. We pay our respects to elders and acknowledge their ongoing cultural and spiritual connections. We have apologies, CEO.
Yes, Mayor, from Councillor Tatterson and from Councillor Ripper.
Terrific, thank you. Do we have declarations of conflict of interest? Thank you, Councillor Fote.
Yes, I have a declaration. I have a conflict of interest for 14.1. Sorry, I haven't got my paperwork. The amendment of C122 well public acquisition overlay, and I will remove myself at this particular time.
Terrific, thank you, Councillor Fote. We move then on to item 3.1, the adoption of the minutes of previous council meeting. Thank you, Councillor Fote.
I move that Council adopt the minutes and resolutions of the ordinary council meeting of the 3rd of June 2025.
Seconded, Councillor Wells. Is that motion opposed? Motion not being opposed, it's carried. Did you wish to speak?
No, thank you.
We have no business arising from previous meetings. I'm not aware of any later urgent items. Notices of motion. We have a notice of motion 6.1. Councillor Lowe.
I move the motion that the Council write to the Honourable Melissa Horne, the Minister for Roads and Road Safety, to request the State Government install a safe pedestrian crossing across the Princes Highway between Wellington Street and the Industrial Road in Stratford, noting that A, safe pedestrian access across the Princes Highway in Stratford, particularly from Wellington Street, is of critical importance. This route is frequently used by residents to access essential health and fitness services, and a secure crossing point is urgently needed to ensure the well-being of the community. B, establish a safe pedestrian crossing will directly enhance the health and safety of the Stratford residents. It will reduce the risk of accidents and provide a secure route for individuals accessing vital local services. C, improved pedestrian infrastructure will benefit young mothers, the elderly and other vulnerable community members who wish to access the Stratford Gymnasium and Physiotherapy Centre. Encouraging walking over vehicle use aligns with the Victorian Government's environmental and sustainability objectives, promoting healthier lifestyles while reducing traffic and emissions. D, a formalised safe crossing will remove the current hazards of residents, particularly those with limited mobility, needing to navigate the dangerous section of the Princes Highway. This upgrade would significantly improve safety and peace of mind for the community.
Is that motion seconded? Councillor Madeley, is that motion opposed? Motion not being opposed is carried. Councillor Lowe, did you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you. Background. I've been contacted by members of the Stratford community on numerous occasions regarding the urgent need for safe pedestrian access across the Princes Highway from Wellington Street. Residents have raised ongoing concerns about the safety of crossing the highway to access essential services such as the Stratford Gymnasium and local physiotherapy clinic. The Stratford Gymnasium alone has approximately 800 members and plays a vital role in supporting the health and wellbeing of the community. The community is requesting that the council provide appropriate footpaths to connect with Officer Street and the industrial area to these facilities. In addition, they are calling on the Department of Transportation to implement a safe crossing solution over the Princes Highway. Potential options could include installation of traffic lights, an overpass or underpass, or any solution that complies with current transport and safety regulations. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you, Councillor Lowe. We then move on to the receiving of petitions joint letters. We don't have any of those. Invited addresses, presentations or acknowledgements. I understand there may be a few councillors who wish to. Councillor Madeley.
Thank you, Mayor. Just give me one moment to find my notes. Here we go. I'd just like to talk about the opening of the Turner in Australia exhibition at the Gippsland Art Gallery. This happened on Friday, June 6th, and the gallery hosted the official opening of the Turner and Australia exhibition. This landmark exhibition explores the profound influence of J.M.W. Turner on Australian art, showcasing 11 original Turner works, and I believe it's 11 of the 13 in Australia, 14. Thank you, Mayor, which is pretty amazing. So these pieces are on display alongside pieces by prominent Australian artists such as Frederick McCubbin, Eugene von Gerard, Tom Roberts, Arthur Street and Clarice Beckett and Jessie Trail. The event was well attended, reflecting the community's strong interest in cultural events. Councillors in attendance on the night included Mayor Rossetti, Councillor Bannerman, Councillor Fote, Councillor Wells, Councillor Ripper and myself. So almost a full contingent of councillors there. The exhibition is expected to attract thousands of visitors to Wellington Shire, contributing an estimated $4 million to the local economy. This underscores the significant economic and cultural impact such events have on our region. And I'd just like to thank all the gallery staff involved in organising this event. It follows on the back of the Archibalds as our major exhibition and then last year's Annemiek Meehan exhibition. So Turner in Australia will be on display until August 24th, and for more information you can visit the Gippsland Art Gallery website. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Madeley. Yes, it's 14 in Australia of the Turners. There's only 3 missing, and they're watercolours that can only be seen for a very short period each year. So if they're shown anywhere, they have to be locked away for many years. It's quite extraordinary. In fact, it's not a regional standard, it's not a state standard, it's actually an Australian standard exhibition with many of these Turners having not been seen together. The gallery director was actually, they almost did the line, tell him he's dreaming, when he first conceived that concept of getting all these Turners together. But Simon is extraordinarily dogged. 46 different organisations and individuals he actually had to speak to get the different artworks loaned to us for the period. Security has been quite extraordinary, but if people think they've got to go to Canberra or indeed to Melbourne to see an extraordinary artworks, they can actually do it right now in our very own Gippsland Art Gallery. It's amazing. I'm not sure, I'm just wondering what he does next, because it's Simon and obviously with support from staff and council, etc. But we're so lucky to have that sort of activity here. Any other invited addresses or presentations? Councillor Fote.
I actually have 2. So firstly, I'd just like to say a sincere thanks to TAFE Gippsland for hosting many of the councillors and the Mayor last week at the Portersale campus. Now, our opportunity to tour the state-of-the-art facilities and witness firsthand the diverse range of vocational courses offered that went from health and community with access to their kinder room, complete with little chairs, all the animals, sandpit and dolls and other like kinder items, to aged care facilities and apparently dummies that actually do respond to you as well, to the hands-on training, which included mechanics, boilermaker, right down to carpentry. All of this is invaluable to our community. It has reinforced our commitment to supporting local education and ensuring that our community has access to quality training and career pathways. I also wanted to acknowledge that on Friday, June 13th, the Gippsland Regional Sports Complex in Sale was alive with the energy of 175 students from 6 local schools participating in the Science and Engineering Challenge. Now, this event aimed to inspire students to consider careers in STEM, that being science, technology, engineering and mathematics, by engaging them in hands-on engineering challenges. Now, these challenges included building bridges and eco-homes, constructing wind turbine blades and designing balsa wood aircraft. Now, I was fortunate enough to join Steve and Dave from Lockheed Martin to judge the bridge building competition. The students demonstrated remarkable creativity and problem-solving skills. Notably, Maffra Secondary College's bridge withstood the weight of the Chunga cart, showcasing exceptional engineering design. It was rather exciting. The overall winner of the day was actually Gippsland Grammar and St Mary's, who had their Year 5 and Year 6 team took out a third place. It was an intense competition for all, even though it was more about the challenges of all the learning throughout the day, but the enthusiasm from the students was just incredible to see. The afternoon's activities were also filled with creativity as they continued to, foster their STEM education in our community. Now, I just wanted to highlight that the event was made possible through the support of major sponsors, which was Lockheed Martin, Iberdrola, Regional Development Victoria, the Development of Employment and Workplace Relations, the Victorian Skills and Jobs Centre, and the Gippsland East Local Learning and Employment Network. So their commitment to fostering STEM education is commendable. I just want to say I'm proud to be a part of a community as an educator myself that values and invests in the education and development of our youth. And events like this not only inspire students, but also strengthen the connection between education and local industry. As we look to the future, it's clear that our region is nurturing the innovators and problem solvers of tomorrow. Even though when I did talk to one student and asked them about what their highlight of the day was and why they decided to come along, they said it was so they could get out of doing maths at school. Little did they know that everything that they were doing was hands-on maths, but it was good to see. So thank you.
Terrific. Thanks, Councillor Fogt. I think it's Iberdrola. I just looked it up on Google while you're talking because it's a tricky one to pronounce. Any other addresses, presentations? I think actually Councillor Stevens online. I think you might have had something to say.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. Yes. Look, I would just like to acknowledge the fact that from Yarram we had 2 awardees of the Medal of the Order of Australia in the King's Birthday Honours. They were 2 very well-known ladies in the district, Wendy Pope and Esme Rash. And both of them have, and it's fantastic that both of them have received this acknowledgement because they're long-serving members of our community and they've done a tremendous amount of work, both of them. Look, they've, each of them has got a list of organisations that they have supported over many years. Both are very unassuming ladies and normally would like to sort of stay in the background. But it's wonderful to see them acknowledged in this way, and congratulations to them both for the awards that they received. It's good to see. Average Australians who have spent a lifetime working in their communities, supporting their communities, getting the acknowledgement they deserve. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Stevens. And yes, for people who like to stay in the background but are at every single event in the community supporting it is a correct, accurate description. Any other? No? No, thank you. No more invited addresses or presentation or acknowledgements. We have questions on notice. We have none. We do not have any. The Mayor and Councillors report, item 10. Thank you, Councillor Madeley.
I move that the Mayor and Councillors report be noted for May 2025.
Seconded, Councillor Lowe. Is that motion opposed? The motion not being opposed is carried. Did you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mayor. May was another busy month for all councillors. Highlights from the past month include the Stratford Shakespeare Festival, councillor site tour at Braggalong Quarry Reserve, the Botanic Gardens Week, which was a councillor morning tea and a tour of the gardens, the Sale Volunteer Week Thank You and Expo, and the Hayfield Vintage Machinery Rally, and also the local government roundtable that the Mayor attended. I think it's really good to see a variety of events that councillors and the Mayor are attending, and I think we're often getting a very good turnout, whether it's 4 or 5 or more councillors at any one event, which I think is fantastic. Thank you, Mayor.
No, thanks, Councillor Madley. We move then on to the Chief Executive Officer's report. We have a motion there. Item 12.1.
Yes.
Thanks, Councillor Foat.
Missed 11. The delegates.
I did too. Apologies. Are there delegates' reports?
Yes.
Ah.
That's why. So, Councillor Bannerman and myself attended the SLUP, so the Strategic Land Use Planning Permits Projects meeting last Tuesday. Sorry, that's a real mouthful. Now, there's many key projects that are being worked on at the moment, and some of them, the strategies and plans, they fall under West Sale Industrial Land. So there's discussions are occurring with service agencies relating to drainage requirements towards finalisation of the development plan. The Maffra Township developer contributions, so these are detailed costings of infrastructure items, drainage and roads, are being prepared to facilitate approvals for future rezoning requests and to address developer contributions. The draft Stratford structure plan, so at the moment mesh planning will proceed with the preparation of the draft Stratford structure plan, incorporating outcomes of technical reports and discussions with servicing agencies. Then we move on to planning scheme amendments. So planning scheme amendments C12 well was written submissions are being addressed, including CFA and several landowners relating to the implementation of the Maffra structure plan. Documents are being finalised for a technical corrections amendment to address anomalies in mapping and provisions at a municipal-wide level. This is PSA C113 well. Proposed inclusion of public acquisition overlay to sections of land fronting Cabanes Road sale for road widening has been presented to Council for authorisation. Proponent private planning scheme amendments. Now, there are several requests for rezoning and submissions approvals in different stages, which are anticipated to be finalised over the coming months, and they propose to deliver land supply for housing growth for rural residential, low density and residential growth, both in Sale and Maffra. And lastly, there are 2 requests for approval of development plans, proposed subdivision for land supply for housing in both Stratford and Rosedale. Now, these have been subject to community consultation and are nearing final approval.
Excellent. Thanks, Councillor Foat. Any other delegates' reports?
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Wells.
Sorry, yes. On Friday the 13th, I attended the Gippsland Critical Minerals meeting. It was at the Linden Football Club. Not a lot to mention at this stage, just a few little basic ones. They're still working on consultation with farmers. Some of the farmers, as we know, are against it, so they're still working through those transitions still. Still waiting on some reports back from the state government on water and working with Gippsland Water to try and make sure they've got the proper allocations to go through or it doesn't go forward. Working on their application, they're hoping to do a full trial run in a trial pit in January 2026, so it'll be a live full trial, so they'll get the noise, the dust and everything like that, so that'll happen there. So, yeah, look, they're doing a really good job. They're ticking all the boxes at this stage. Yeah, so I really think that this will be a good project for the Wellington Shire and the East Gippsland Shire, which is looking at probably, if it gets up and running properly, 300 jobs. And let's cross our fingers that we get the water and the trials all go well, and, you know, we're still a couple of years away, but it's all moving forward at this stage.
Terrific. Thanks, Councillor Wells. Any other delegates' reports? No? Then we move on to the Chief Executive Officer's report.
I'll do that.
Thanks, Councillor Foat.
I move that the Chief Executive Officer's report be received for May 2025.
Is that motion seconded? Councillor Bannerman, thank you. Is that motion opposed? The motion not being opposed is carried. Councillor Foat.
Now, I just want to say that over the past month, our CEO has been actively engaged in various meetings and forums, all just for the advancement and the interests of the Wellington Shire.
There you are. Item 12.2, the Community Engagement Strategy and Policy. Thanks, Councillor Lowe.
I move that the council adopt the revised community engagement strategy and community engagement policy.
Seconded. Councillor Fote, thank you. Is that motion opposed? The motion not being opposed, it's carried. Councillor Lowe.
This is just a formal policy that we renew every now and then, so it's just part of the process. Thank you.
Terrific, thanks, Councillor Lowe. We move then on to the Assembly of Councillors report, 13.1. To a motion there, thanks.
Yep.
Councillor Wells.
I move that council note and receive the attached Assembly of Councillor records for the period of 26th of May to the 8th of June 2025, subject to an amendment to 3rd of June 2025, recording noting that Councillor Benneman was in attendance. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconded. Councillor Madeley. Is that motion opposed?
No.
Motion not being opposed, it's carried. Did you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we move then on to item 13.2, the adoption of the 2025-26 budget, proposed rates, fees and charges. Councillor Bannerman, thank you.
I move that Council adopt the 25-26 budget as attached, including the 25-26 fees and charges and the 25-26 Capital Works Program in accordance with Section 96 of the Local Government Act 2020. And 2, Council adopt the following declared rates and charges for the period commencing on July 1st, 2025 and concluding on 30th of June 2026. As the rest of this motion is quite lengthy, can we take that as read, please, Mayor?
Thank you. Is that seconded? Thank you, Councillor Fote. Is that motion opposed? Motion is opposed. Councillor Bannerman.
So a lot of to and fro has gone into putting this budget together. There's been some quite robust discussions happening in the chambers, which is good because we all want to be making sure that we're getting value for money for all of us and all of our Wellington Shire residents. We also would like to thank all the people who took the time to put in their feedback while this was out for public consultation. A lot of that has been taken into account and some adjustments have been made, and so I am in full confidence of being able to put this forward as a amenable budget for our community for the next year.
Terrific. Thank you. Councillor Fote, did you wish to speak or reserve? Thank you. Needs someone to speak against it? Thank Councillor Lowe.
I just want to say, as your elected councillor, I want to share my views, my goals, and why I chose to run for council. One of my key goals is to oppose any further rate increases. I believe rising rates are placing unfair burden on the most vulnerable members of our community, families and pensioners, and everyday ratepayers who are already feeling the pressure of the cost of living crisis. While I respect the reasons why some councillors will vote to raise the rates by the full 3%, I could not support it. My job is to represent the community, and I believe we must hold the council accountable and work harder to find savings before passing costs on to the people. I remain committed to pushing for lower rates and reducing financial strain on households across Wellington Shire. Over the coming years, I will continue to advocate for smarter budgeting and long-term plan to keep our community financially viable without needing to raise rates every 12 months. We have a capable and passionate group of councillors, and I believe we can work together to build a stronger, more sustainable council, one that respects every ratepayer and delivers real value for the money you contribute. I and other councillors will continue to fight against the Victorian government's insane fire levy tax. This fire levy tax is another way of the Victorian government to tax the community, as they can't run a positively geared budget. Thank you again for your trust and support. I will continue to speak up for you.
Thanks, Councillor Lowe. Anyone like to speak for? Thank you. Councillor Madeley.
Thank you, Mayor. As we move to adopt the 2025-26 budget tonight, I want to acknowledge the considerable thought, effort and care that has gone into its development. This is a conservative and considered budget shaped with the ongoing context of a cost of living crisis that is impacting our community deeply. Like many households and businesses, Council has had to make tough decisions, prioritising what we must do over what we might like to do. Importantly, this budget includes a $62.6 million capital works program, which will see significant investment in the infrastructure that keeps our community moving and connected, including over $36 million for roads, footpaths, bridges and drainage, and further investment across parks, buildings and essential equipment. Council has also considered 22 written submissions and 4 verbal submissions to the draft budget. I'd like to thank everyone who took the time to share their views. Your input helps shape our decision making. I also want to acknowledge that rate changes this year may vary depending on individual property valuations. These are set by the State Valuer General and reflect changes in the regional property market. However, Council has kept the total general rate increase to 3%, in line with the Victorian Government's Fair Go rate system. This was a decision that councillors have discussed at length, weighing up how a rate cut would impact our day-to-day operations and service levels. Like I said, in this budget, we are adopting 3% rate rise. For ratepayers, a reduction of 1% may translate to a saving of around $25 to $50 annually, but across our entire organisation, this would amount to a substantial drop in revenue, potentially impacting our ability to maintain services and deliver infrastructure projects. Council has made this decision carefully, aiming to protect the services our community relies on today and ensure we remain financially sustainable into the future. In the 7 years the state government has set the rate cap, on 5 of those occasions the set cap has been below the underlying inflation rate. This has meant that all Victorian councils are looking to rationalise services to meet these pressures. Our council has already reduced senior staff numbers in response to this. A 3% rate rise will, at the very least, allow us to maintain existing service levels without the need for further service cuts. This is a balance that Council needs to consider every year. Finally, I'd like to extend my sincere thanks to the Council officers, managers and general managers who have all worked tirelessly behind the scenes to bring this budget together. Your responsiveness to councillor queries, your patience and your detailed knowledge has been incredibly valued throughout this process. This is a budget that balances sensible planning with progress. It delivers key infrastructure and maintains vital services while remaining conscious of the pressures our community is facing. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Madeley. Anyone else speak against the motion?
Not against the motion, no.
Okay. I did offer earlier on that given the significance of the motion that we could have anyone who wished to speak to do so. Councillor Wells.
I'd just like to follow on from Councillor Lowe's Fire Services Levy speech. Just putting forward that the Wellington Shire would still like to note our objection to this very poor decision to enforce this tax on our community. This tax will serve as no benefit and just introduce more hardship on the cost of living to our entire community, which is going to have some drastic, ramifications moving forward, and hopefully it gets knocked on the head in the next 12 months because we are just not going to be able to cope with that. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Wells. Anyone else wish to speak?
Mayor,
thank you, Councillor Stevens.
Look, I understand. Look, I understand where Councillor Lowe's coming from in this matter, Mayor, and I know that we had some robust discussion about whether or not we should increase our rate in line with the rate cap. Since we had that discussion, of course, there has now been a general salary increase by the Fair Work Commission, I think a 3.5% minimum, and of course that is going to impact on our costs, of course, because we now are in an EBA negotiation period, and so that our 3% proposed rate increase is under that figure. Look, I'm not opposed to us having a further review of our rating. One of our biggest costs, I think Councillor Moby said, our $60 million, we've got a $60 million CapEx program for this year. I note earlier on today we were talking about our total assets. I think it's something like now $1.9 billion after revaluation. and I'm very conscious of the fact that we need to maintain our expenditure on the maintenance of our capital work, whether it be property, roads, drainage, whatever. And that certainly is one of our biggest costs. If we did a structural reform of our capital programs, we could consider changes to our rates. But at this stage, I think it's prudent for us to continue to work within the rate cap. And that was something else Councillor Mady said. In the 7 years, I think there's been 5 years during rate cap when our costs have gone up higher than the cap. So the councils had to live within those rate caps. Certainly, it's made the council have to be very financially prudent in how it forms its budget. So whilst sympathetic with the comments made by Councillor Lowe and even Councillor Tatterson, I would certainly be happy to support the budget because it has been a lot of work, and I congratulate the staff for the large amount of work. It's a huge job each year to prepare our budget, and yes, I will support the motion, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Did you wish? To second it? No, thank you. Did you wish to sum up, please, Councillor Bannerman?
I think we just need to put it to the vote, Mayor.
Thank you. And look, I don't have anything to add myself either. I think it's all been said. Given we have Councillor Stevens online, I'll look for a show of hands for those for the motion. Please raise your hand. The motion is carried. Thank you. Councillors, we move on now to the to item 13.3, the intention to display the community local law. Do we have a mover for this motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to move that.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. And is that motion? Oh, sorry, you need to say it, don't you? Apologies.
Yeah, sorry. So I will move that Council 1 authorise the publication of a notice in accordance with Section 73(3) of the Local Government Act 2020, approve a 4-week community engagement process for the proposed community local law amendment, Local Law 2025, to be undertaken from the 30th of June 2025 to the 31st of July 2025. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to make minor changes to the proposed community local law amendment, Local Law 2025, before community engagement commences, where changes are required for correctness, clarity, formatting or similar purposes, and 4, adopt the updated public toilets policy as attached.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens.
So moved.
Second to Councillor Madeley. Is that motion opposed? The motion's opposed. Councillor Stevens.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Look, I'd have to say at the outset that I'm not completely comfortable with these proposals, but we have been given an enforcement order by VCAT after our current community local law was taken to VCAT, and we are really basically in the hands of that enforcement order to make these changes. Now, the most controversial change, of course, is the change to the clause 4.16, where we will remove the fact that we are allowed to have public toilets designated as male and female, and we have to have non-gender specific toilets. Now, and also we have to change the public toilets policy by including a clause in that policy that basically allows for recognition that transgender or non-binary people in our community can use any of our facilities. Now, and the other changes are pretty ancillary. I think the main other changes are changes to penalty units and the number of cats that people can basically have on their property. So the most controversial part is this change to the access to toilets, and I think we need to acknowledge the fact that I think we're one of the last councils to do that. Of the 79 councils, I'm told that even before we were taken to VCAT, something like 68 at least had already removed the clause that we're proposing to remove from our community local law So, yeah, whilst I do have some reservations, we basically are in the position, I believe, that we need to institute this change. And of course, the other thing, of course, is that it's important to note clause 2 of this motion, Mayor, that we are now going to engage in community engagement as we're required to, but we will look forward to receiving a response from the general public as to what they feel about this this change. So thanks, Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Stevens. Did you wish to speak or reserve your right, Councillor Madeley?
I will reserve my
Thank you. Anyone speak against? Thank you, Councillor Bannerman.
Thank you, Mayor. I rise to speak against the adoption of this motion. Understanding Councillor Stevens' rationale for where we're placed legally, and I'll come back to that. This comes down to an issue for me of the safety of women. So basically what the instruction from VCAT has told us is that we are to remove the local law that currently says that toilets will be accessed according to one's sex, which protects women in a very vulnerable space in their toilets. The argument put forward is that our current wording of the law transgresses human rights of transgender and non-binary identifying people. I put it to our community that the same Human Rights Commission that has issued this statement operates under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, to which Australia is a signatory, and in fact Australia very proudly helped to create the Universal Declaration of Human Rights very shortly, in fact, in the closing days of World War II. So imagine in the horrors of Nazi Germany and the concentration camps, and understanding what it means to be a human and why that's really important to identify what's special about that and protect it. So in the articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 3 talks about the security of person. To this, I would say that with this proposed law change, so the reality is that, according to the World Health Organization, 1 in 3 women experience first-hand violence from a man. And I put it to you and to our residents of the Shire that toilets are a particularly vulnerable space for women. They're isolated, you're unheard and unseen. So when someone who is bigger than you, stronger than you, comes in there, you are vulnerable. I am vulnerable. That is a space we need to protect at all costs. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights also expresses in Article 1 the importance of the dignity of all human beings. And I would put it to you that the dignity of the female human beings comes into question when, for instance, we have to deal with menstrual issues and the right to control the consent over who gets to see you in a state of undress in the toilets or bathrooms. If we remove the current wording of our local law to say that toilets must be accessed according to sex, it means that anyone can go anywhere and women have no right to that sense of privacy around their menstrual concerns or even autonomy over their own body of who gets to see it. I would like to note that when it comes to members of our community who identify as transgender or non-binary, myself, and I think all my fellow councillors, have nothing but compassion for anyone who feels so deeply uncomfortable on a daily basis in themselves. I would say to my fellow councillors and to the general public that I believe that the answer to this discomfort is not by requiring women to give up the safety and sanctity of our private spaces. I reach out to our community to ask for your feedback. Please be very prompt and very clear. We have a 4-week window here to get your voices heard. I don't believe I'm alone in this. Please make your voices known very clearly to myself, to Council, to the Shire, that you value and care about the sanctity and safety of women's most vulnerable spaces, our toilets. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bannerman. Do we have anyone to speak for the motion?
Is that me?
It is for the motion?
Sure. I was sorry, Mayor. I wasn't sure if I had to, because I've reserved my right if I had to wait until the end.
Sure.
So I will go now. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. So tonight we are voting on whether to place our updated local laws out for public consultation. And I want to be very clear, this motion is about listening to our community. This local law change is not being adopted tonight. What we are doing is inviting community members to have their say, as they should, on something that touches everyone, accessibility and inclusion in our public spaces. One of the changes included in the local laws change is the removal of a clause that currently restricts people to using male or female toilets based on gender. Removing this clause does not remove male or female toilets. It simply recognises that not everyone fits neatly into those two categories and that we have a responsibility to reflect that in our policies. This change to our local laws is about following existing laws and guidelines. Wellington Shire Council has been given a clear direction from VCAT and the Human Rights Commission. There is an enforceable VCAT order that Council must progress with implementing changes to the local law. It's also worth noting that our local laws team has never had to enforce this local law, which tends to make it fairly irrelevant in the day-to-day running of the Council. Under Victorian anti-discrimination law and in line with the National Construction Code, councils are required to provide accessible, safe and inclusive public facilities. These are not new expectations, they are minimum standards. Across the state, other councils have taken similar steps to review and modernise their toilet policies to ensure that everyone in their community is treated with dignity and respect. And in Wellington, this is not a hypothetical issue. According to the most recent census data, 9.3% of Wellington Shire residents identify as LGBTQI+. Within this group, a number will be transgender or non-binary residents, people who live, work, volunteer and contribute in our community every day. People who deserve to feel safe and seen when using public amenities. Providing all gender toilet options is not about taking anything away, it's about ensuring that no one is left out. By voting tonight to put this draft policy out for consultation, we are doing the right thing. We are inviting respectful feedback, we are following the law, and we are recognising the diversity that exists in our community. We are choosing to lead with compassion, with fairness, and with a commitment to making Wellington a place where everyone feels they belong. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Madeley. Anyone like to speak against the motion? Thank you, Councillor Lowe.
I stand before you not just as a councillor, but as a father, a Christian, a proud member of this community, someone who believes in protecting the integrity of our society, especially when it comes to safeguarding women and children. Recently, the Wellington Shire Council was taken to the Human Rights Commission and VCAT by the Rainbow Local Government Lobby over a local law that restricts members of the opposite biological sex from using women's toilets, change rooms, showers within our facilities. VCAT has now ruled that Wellington Shire Council is in breach of the Charter of Human Rights Act 2006 and has directed us to allow individuals who identify as transgender to access women's spaces. Let me be absolutely clear. This decision is unacceptable, inappropriate and deeply concerning. This is not an issue of hate or intolerance. This is a matter of common sense and community safety. It is about protecting the privacy, dignity and the well-being of women and girls. As a father of two young daughters, I cannot stay silent while biological males are granted access to female-only spaces under the banner of inclusion. Let me say it plainly. Biological men do not belong in women's toilets, change rooms or showers, regardless of how they identify. This is not just an invasion of privacy, it is a direct assault on decency and on the hard-won rights of women to feel safe and secure in spaces designated for them. As a Christian, I find this direction not only morally wrong, but completely out of step with the values shared by many in this community. It undermines both faith and family and disregards the biological reality that our laws once respected. That said, I do not lack compassion. I recognise that those struggling with gender identity are going through a very real and difficult experience. They deserve support, care and counselling. But allowing access to spaces meant for women and girls is not the solution. It compromises safety and forces our wives, mothers, sisters and daughters to surrender their most basic rights, privacy and security. Before any vote is taken to change our local law, the people of Wellington Shire must be informed and heard. We are not elected to blindly follow pressure from the activist lobbies or unelected tribunals. We were elected to represent the will of our community. This is not democracy, it's government overreach. I know these words may be seen as controversial, I understand that, but the truth must be spoken, especially when others are too afraid to say it. I will not remain silent while common sense is buried under radical gender ideology. I was not elected to sit quietly, I was elected to stand for what is right. So I'm calling on our community to speak up, ask the tough questions and hold your representatives accountable. This is your home, your families, your values, and this is your fight too. It is time to protect our women, it's time to protect our children, and it's time to defend the values that our community hold our community together. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Lowe. Anyone else want to speak for the motion? I think we've exhausted debate. So, Councillor Stevens, would you like to sum up?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Look, I'd just like to thank councillors for their input into this debate. I know that there is a lot of diverse feeling about this change, and yes, I think it's all. I won't repeat what has been said. Just to finish by saying that like other councillors have said, we have got a 4-week opportunity for the community to respond to this change, and I encourage anyone who has a view to respectfully put forward that view to the council so that we can then make a final decision. But as I said at the outset, we are unfortunately being constrained yet again by levels of government and by acts of Parliament that we are obliged to adhere to. But anyway, we will see. I look forward to seeing what the response is from the community, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. So I'm going to ask for a show of hands for the vote to vote yes to this motion. We can vote against if you like. Would you like to show hand no? Thank you. So the motion is carried. Could I invite the community who would like to engage in this process with the views that we know there are many in the community, should be able to find information hopefully not too far away on our website, certainly by making contact with any of our customer service centres, or of course snail mail is still acceptable as well. So you're welcome to have your views heard in any of those forums. Thank you, councillors. We move now on to item 13.4, the Future Wellington Community Vision 2041. Thank you, Councillor Wells.
I move that the Council adopt the Community Vision 2041 as attached.
I think you've had the shortest motion to move this evening, Councillor Wells. Is that motion seconded? It's Councillor Bannerman. Is that motion opposed? The motion not being opposed, it's carried. Councillor Wells.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight I'm pleased to speak in support of adopting the Wellington's Community Vision 2041, a vision shaped by the voices, values and hopes of our community. Over the past year, the Council has undertaken a thoughtful and genuine deliberative engagement process to refresh the long-term direction for our Shire. Between July and August 2024, our Future Wellington campaign invited people to tell us what matters most through roadshows, surveys, postcards, creative competitions and more. We were delighted to receive input from over 1,900 residents from all corners of Wellington. Young people, family, business owners, First Nation voices, long-time residents and newcomers alike. To make sure these views were deeply considered, we brought together a Future Wellington think tank, 22 community members who gave their time, insight and lived the experience to guide this work. They didn't just review feedback, they examined the challenges ahead, imagined Wellington in 2050 and explored what would continue to make us proud to live here. Their work has led to creation of a new community vision, a forward-looking and inclusive statement of our collective aspirations, supported by 6 guiding principles that will underpin our future decision-making. These principles reflect the kind of community we want to be. They include a clear ambition to promote economic innovation and foster local prosperity, commit to environmental stewardship and build resilience for a sustainable future, engage and support young people as key contributors to Wellington's future, preserve and celebrate our cultural heritage and diversity, foster connected, accessible and inclusive communities for people of all ages and abilities, and to listen actively, ensuring transparency and open communications between council and the community. Each of these guiding principles is interconnected and together they give us a strong foundation for the decade ahead. I would also like to thank all those who participated in the engagement process and the members of the think tank for their dedication. This vision is just not council, it belongs to the people of the Wellington Shire. The Community Vision 2041 will now inform the development of our key strategic documents, including the next council plan, our 10-year financial plan and asset plans, and Live Well in Wellington Municipal Public Health and Wellbeing Plan. It's a clear, community-led roadmap, and I am proud to support its adoption. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wells. We move then on to Council Plan Progress Report, Quarter 3, 2024-25, 13.5. Councillor Madeley, thank you.
Thank you. I move that Council receives the attached update on progress of the 2021-2025 Council Plan for Quarter 3 of 2024-25.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Fote. Is that motion opposed? Motion not being opposed, it's carried. Thank you. Councillor Madeley.
Thank you, Mayor. Wellington Shire Council's Council Plan 2021-2025 is adopted under the Local Government Act 2020 and it sets out our priorities over 4 years. The plan contains 104 actions, including major initiatives and key projects across 4 strategic directions. 31 indicators of success aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Progress is regularly reported to the community through council reports and the annual report. Key highlights from this quarter include, under Strategic Direction Number 1, Environment and Climate Change, the Wellington Sustainability Expo that was successfully delivered in March 2025. Our officers collaborated with the Gippsland Climate Change Network and various community organisations to plan and execute this event. Strategic Direction 2, Economy and Sustainable Growth. Officers have been busy supporting and facilitating numerous events, including career expos. One notable event was planning for the Skills and Jobs Fair held in Sale, which took place in May 2025. Under Strategic Direction 3, Livability and Wellbeing, linking to both the Council Plan and Healthy Wellington, the Municipal Public Health and Wellbeing Plan, Council continues to partner and facilitate activities, programs and initiatives that focus on good mental health outcomes for the people of Wellington. In Quarter 3, planning was undertaken for Live for Life, which was scheduled for May 2025, marking its 2nd year of implementation. Lastly, in Strategic Direction 4, Services and Infrastructure, Gippsport, in partnership with Wellington Shire Council, continue to work with local schools and organisations to deliver bike education programs. These programs teach children the importance of bike safety and active living, leading to the promotion of physically active and connected communities. Thank you, Mayor.
Terrific. Thank you, Councillor Madeley. So we move now on to the appointment to committees and delegates 2025-26. Yep.
Yes.
Terrific. Councillor Foat.
Am I doing something wrong? You're looking at me strange here. I move that councillors be formally appointed to council committees in accordance with the attached updated register of council committees and advisory groups 2025 to 2026.
Terrific. Seconded, Councillor Bannerman. Is that motion opposed? The motion not being opposed is carried. Did you wish to speak to it?
Just to say that although we've all been appointed to committees, there were a couple of changes and hence the need to update the register. So now it reads as follows, that Councillor Wells is appointed to the second representative on the Audit and Risk Committee and Councillor Lowe is removed, and council officer titles have been updated in line with recent management restructure.
Terrific. Thank you, Councillor Foat. We move then on to the 13.7, the S11B Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation Environment Protection Act 2017. Do we have a motion? Yeah, thank you, Councillor Madeley.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council appoint and authorise the council officers referred to in the attached instrument titled S11B Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation Environmental Protection Act 2017 as set out in the instrument. I will take points 2 and 3 as read, Mayor.
Terrific. That's seconded, Councillor Lowe. Is that motion opposed? Motion not being opposed is carried. Did you wish to speak to that?
Just briefly, Mayor, thank you. Authorised officers are council officers appointed under section 242 in brackets 2 of the Environment Protection Act 2017 and authorised under section 313 of the Local Government Act, either generally or in a particular case, to institute proceedings for offences against the acts and regulations described in the attached instrument of authorisation. Thank you, Mayor.
Terrific. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I know in the next, we're coming on to section 14.1. We've had a declared conflict of interest.
That's me.
Would you like to again declare or just leave? Just leave.
Yes, I declare a personal conflict of interest with the amendment to C112 well, the public acquisition overlay, and I will.
Thank you. Councillor Foat is leaving the room. We have a motion. Thank you, Councillor Madeley.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council 1 request authorisation from the Minister for Planning to prepare and exhibit Amendment C122 well to the Wellington Planning Scheme in accordance with Section 8A of the Planning and Environment Act 1987. Item 2, prepare Amendment C122 well to the Wellington Shire Council Planning Scheme to apply the public acquisition overlay in favour of Wellington Shire Council to land located at 37A, 49 and 65 Cabanes Road, sale, subject to ministerial authorisation, and I will take item 3 as read. Thank you, Mayor.
Terrific. That's seconded. Councillor Wells, is that motion opposed? The motion not being opposed, it's carried. Would you wish to speak to that, Councillor Madeley?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mayor. This amendment proposes to apply a public acquisition overlay, PA02, to parts of 3 properties within the North Sale growth area. The amendment will allow Wellington Shire Council to compulsorily acquire a 10-metre strip of land north of Cabanes Road Sale for the purposes of facilitating infrastructure upgrades for the growth area, including road widening, underground infrastructure and shared pedestrian pathways. This requirement has been identified within the North Sale Development Plan 2018 and the North Sale Infrastructure Funding Arrangement, November 2022. The 10-metre strip of land required for public acquisition is located within 37A, 49 and 65 Cabanes Road Sale. The amendment ensures the fair, orderly and sustainable development of the land by requiring land for future use for the community. It will ensure that land is provided for road widening, underground services and shared pedestrian pathways in accordance with the North Sale Development Plan. The amendment can be viewed online at Wellington Shire or at Wellington Shire Council offices during business hours, and submissions can be made online or in person in relation to this amendment. Thank you, Mayor.
Terrific. Thanks, Councillor Madeley. So we can bring Councillor Folk back into the room. And we move then on to, thanks CEO, we move then on to item 14.2, monthly planning decisions as of April 2025. Am I hearing a
Yes,
rustle
thank
behind
you.
me? Thanks, Councillor Stevens.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'll move that Council note the report on recent planning permit trends and planning application determinations between the 1st of April and the 30th of April 2025.
Seconded, Councillor Lowe. Is that motion opposed? Motion not being opposed, it's carried. Did you wish to speak, Councillor Stevens?
Yeah, look, just very briefly, Mayor, I'd just like to note, as has often been said, that I'd like to thank our planning staff for the work they do. We have a very highly regarded planning department for the way they interact with applicants and the speed with which they can make determinations of planning permits. So thank you again to the staff. And I'd just also like to note, excuse me, Mayor, that the long-term, it's interesting to look at the long-term average trend in the report. We are basically trending pretty much as we have on average for about the last 5 or 6 years, apart from a couple of dips and peaks. But yeah, our average is pretty much on trend. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Any gallery or online comments, CEO?
None, Mayor.
Thank you. So before I close, or before I call for a motion to move into closed session, I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that we've had a number of contentious issues, and the respectful way the councillors have dealt with those multiple views, I think, is actually to be lauded. There are many councils where that doesn't happen, and they get challenged with relationships. Given we all have multiple views, we represent our community with multiple views. I think that's a really good position to be in, where we can actually have respectful discussion around those debates. So I just want to acknowledge that. I think it's something we sometimes take for granted, but it's not common. So well done. Can I have a motion, please, to move us into closed session? Thank you, Councillor Bannerman.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the meeting be closed to the public to consider confidential information pursuant to section 66(2) of the Local Government Act 2020 and defined in section 3(1) as involving personal information, being information which, if released, would result in the unreasonable disclosure of information about any person or their personal affairs. 2. The grounds for designation under section 3(1)(g)(2) have been made as the information is deemed confidential to protect personal information.
That motion being seconded by Councillor Madeley. There's a motion opposed. The motion not being opposed, it's carried. Thank you, and thank you to the gallery. But the galleries will just stop our streaming in a moment.